Go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 26, 2022, and we are live to tape on episode 501. And today, row your boat. And signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And my name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, podcasting live from California, here to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And a little flustered, because we're live doing this on the No Agenda stream, and we did it real quick. And we are very underprepared.
We're good. We're happy to be back on the No Agenda stream. Hello, No Agenda people. We're glad you're here. Thank you for sticking with us. This is always fun to tune in and add the No Agenda peeps to the stream. Now, here's the thing, folks. We are on episode 501.
Wow.
It is a new day, a new dawn, and a new season within the Canaryverse here. And we're stoked. We're stoked, Gonz, but you know what? It's one of those days. It seems like the whole internet, all of independent media, is fighting some sort of spiritual force that is making technical difficulties just a way of life.
Just one of those days. Should I put my hat on backwards? Start rapping?
Yeah, that's you, man. If people are new to the show, it's basically just a rap show where we read a little bit of news, but then Gonz raps for us extemporaneously.
Don't set
well, I think we should just jump right into it, Gonz. You ready for a little rundown?
Let's do it. What are we talking?
So we're going to start off with a little bit of updatery on the Epstein situation, Ghislain Maxwell. We just got to check in, you know. We hope she's okay. Then we're going to be checking in with the CRISPR situation. CRISPR, the gene editing miracle cure, continues to, concern all of us. Then, of course, we got to check check in with the Roe v. Wade situation, the backlash, the blowback, the civil unrest. Then, of course, we're checking in with Flippy, our favorite robot, taking over the world. Climate change is real. The narrative crafting has really is a nice little uptick. We'll be following that. A little bit on the metaverse and our future of finances, where we should, we're all going to be millionaires. It's fine, especially if you're in America, where we are all famously just like, what's the word? Temporarily disadvantaged millionaires. Then at the second part of the show, I'm sorry, YouTube, we're gonna have to say goodbye because we've got some things. The show's gonna get too hot for YouTube. You'll have to find another place to check us out.
By the way, if you're listening on No Agenda Stream, we are live, like video streaming across a bunch of platforms. You can go to CanaryCry.Party to go find that, and yeah, it'll be disappointing to find what we look like, but if you're curious,
I don't know. I think you'll like my getup. That's like the whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, second part of show, pandemic special, COVID, vaccine, monkeypox, what the CDC doesn't want you to know. And then, of course, we'll be checking in with the epitome of all news cycles, and that is what's going on in Antarctica. But first, Gonz, let's start with our lead stories.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Sure didn't.
I was a little bit, I was thinking like, man, we have all the Epstein jingles. Maybe we should make a special Ghislain Maxwell jingle, but I think that would actually be doing her too much of a service.
Well, maybe she needs a little cheering
She
up.
deserves to be forever linked to Epstein, her ex-boyfriend and business partner there. So this is coming from bloomberg.com, Gonz. It's just a little update. The headline, Ghislain Maxwell placed on suicide watch before sentencing.
Again, huh?
And, we brought this story, I put it in the doc there, and you came at me like, this is old news, man.
It is old news. I found it December 2021.
Yeah.
She was going into suicide watch.
She spends a lot of time on suicide watch. You got to pass your time somehow. When you're sort of one of the most notorious pedophiles and sex traffickers in the world. Yeah. But the article reads like this, and I think the devil's in the details here. Ghislain Maxwell, the British socialite convicted of sex trafficking with former boyfriend Jeffrey Epstein, has been put on suicide watch at the jail in Brooklyn, where she's been since her July 2020 arrest, her lawyer said Saturday. Bobby Sternheim, a lawyer for Maxwell, said in a letter to the judge slated to sentence the socialite on June 28th that she was removed on Friday from the general population of inmates at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center and placed in solitary confinement. Sternheim said that Maxwell isn't allowed any pen or paper and was placed on the watch, quote, without justification, and warned that she may seek a postponement of her sentencing date. Quote, if Miss Maxwell remains on suicide watch, it is prohibited from reviewing legal materials prior to sentencing, becomes sleep deprived, and is denied sufficient time to meet with and confer with counsel. We will be formally moving on Monday for an adjournment, Sternheim said in a letter late Saturday to U.S. Circuit Judge Allison Nathan, who's presiding over the case. While Maxwell, 60, was given a suicide smock. Ooh, suicide smock. That would have been a good show title. Sternheim said that a psychologist met with the socialite. Notice how they keep calling her a socialite, not like convicted sex criminal or intelligence asset or anything like that. No. She's a socialite. On Saturday, and concluded that she is, quote, not suicidal. Oh, okay. And then it goes into her whole thing. So technically, she's supposed to be sentenced in 2 days, on Tuesday, on the 28th. On the 26th, today, they move her into solitary confinement, put her on suicide watch, even though an alleged mental health expert said not only is she, whatever, she's not suicidal is the thing. She's not not suicidal. She just is not suicidal. So why then is she being put on suicide watch? Why is she being put in a small padded room with perhaps some glitchy cameras 2 days before her sentencing? I don't know, man. It's a little sussy, a little suspicious.
Based on some of the weather just across the world and climate change, they can have a convenient outage. That's what happened last time. Remember when there was an outage right in that general vicinity where Ghislain Maxwell is allegedly being held, the detention center?
During one of her?
Well, when she first got to the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center, there was a big outage in that area, and it was really close. So I don't
recall that.
You don't recall? Well, maybe it's a little test run. We'll find out. The next couple days were like storms. The prison shut down. The detention center lost power, and then the lights came back on, and she was gone.
I would be a little worried. I would be a little worried being put in solitary confinement with no reason.
That's what I'm saying.
2 days before your sentencing. I'm thinking either extraction or extraction.
Extraction or extraction.
Yeah.
I like that.
So there you go. There's the update. We will, not only is she on suicide watch, but I think the rest of the internet community will also be on their very own special kind of Ghislain Maxwell suicide watch. Wink. So there you go. Just a quick update. Good there. Stuff. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I got a quick thing here about a technology that we've been covering for a long time.
You can't take the
CRISPR.
You can't take the
Cas9.
This is freethink.com, and the headline here, CRISPR cure for sickle cell, nearly 100% effective after 3 years. And we actually reported, I think we've been reporting every year as they started this.
We have our yearly sickle cell CRISPR update.
Right. And, well, let me just read it because it's a good sort of summary of what's been happening and where we're at today. It says here, when CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex used gene editing to try to cure heritable blood disorders in 2019, it marked the first CRISPR trial outside of China. A year later, the trial using the CRISPR gene editor to treat sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia showed promising results, Freethink reported in 2020. Now, 3 years after the trial began, the researchers have presented new data showing that the treatment continues to be effective. Quote, these data provide further evidence that this treatment has the potential to be transformational for patients with sickle cell disease and I always say that wrong, thalassemia. Trial abstract author Stephen A. Grupp of the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia said in a statement. And then it goes into, what the disease is and how CRISPR helps, with the therapy and all that kind of stuff. So pretty brief update, but, the ethical concerns about CRISPR technology, which is basically a technology that goes in, there's a thing called recombinant DNA. It takes the DNA of something else or somewhere else, snips out parts of your DNA and then replaces it. And of course, the technology in theory has the ability to recode your DNA with maybe plants or animals or, just add a few features or whatever. It's gene editing at its finest, at least in the sort of promised way that this technology would be applied.
In the religiosity that is the medical industrial complex.
Right. But to get there, it's got to prove itself, right? In more practical terms, not so much enhancement, but just restoration. And so the first wave of CRISPR entering the medical field will likely be all about helping people, curing the sick and curing cancer, curing all this stuff. We'll probably see tons of that with CRISPR. So keeping that in mind, and of course, the other end of CRISPR, this is The Verge, how CRISPR rice could help us tackle climate change. Aren't you excited? All we need is some CRISPR rice. We'll
we
take
do
care
need
of
the
that.
CRISPR rice.
We'll take care of that climate change. Don't worry, Greta.
Real quick, back to the sickle cell thing.
Yeah,
there's a lot wrapped up in this story. Because number one, nearly 100% effective.
Yeah, that's
it is such
not 100.
Well, sure. But even putting that number in the headline, even making claims that something is nearly 100% effective.
Yeah.
Nothing nothing in the scientific community is 100% anything.
Yeah.
And so now sickle cell being a disease that primarily affects people of color, Africans, those of African descent. So you've got a nice sort of social justice angle to it, where there's billions of dollars and basically when something is 100% effective or
Uh-oh, we lost Basil for a second.
Got the religion of the medical industrial complex, and we've seen this play out super recently. Not even talking about the 2 years that the entire world was split over the religious ideals of the medical big pharma industry, but you can see it playing out in things like the monkeypox vaccine being targeted at the gay community. You've got there's another vaccine we'll cover later being targeted at the gay, bisexual men community.
A lot of these things coming out of Africa in general.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they are rushing. The community is rushing to get these vaccines. We covered the story about the New York City vaccine clinic. Well, it's a sexual health clinic, even though monkeypox is not a sexually transmitted disease, apparently. And they just ran out.
How do you get it, though?
They got overwhelmed was the word they used.
Right.
So I think there's an interesting parallel between sickle cell, the miracle of the sickle cell CRISPR cure, and the targeting of another minority group, the gay and bisexual men, with multiple vaccines now. It's just got a very interesting vibe of targeting.
Yes.
Targeting.
Well, what are they going to do? What is, with all the reparations coming, they're going to have all this. The black community or certain descendants of African descent. They're going to have all this money from the reparations. What are they going to do? They're going to spend it on CRISPR, baby. They're going to upgrade.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, no, it's free, man. It's free.
Oh, you think it's going to be free?
I'm sure it'll be free.
Okay.
But and I mean, just to mention it in case somebody hasn't caught all of our other reporting on CRISPR, just report after report after report of, wow, we did this miracle cure on mice or ferrets or whatever, and it's going to change the world. And then a week later, whoopsies, we should have stopped. We should.
You keep cutting out on the live.
The mice's cancer, but it also gave them, a brain hemorrhage or something.
Well,
the unforeseen trickle-down consequences have been truly outrageous on a lot of the most recent CRISPR cures. And that's why I think it's so disturbing that it's targeted on an African, a disease that is genetically more common in African descended people. Because, if one of these trickle-down effects takes place, I mean, that's basically a medical genocide of an entire, minority community. And I see the same thing with the vaccines with monkeypox and meningococcal disease, which we'll talk about later, on the gay and bisexual men category. This targeting of medical products is really, really disturbing me.
Wasn't the hamster story from a couple weeks ago, wasn't that CRISPR too? Or was that different?
Yeah.
Was that something they didn't bring?
I believe it was. Yeah, the CRISPR cure for something with hamsters. They changed their hormones, thinking that it would make them all get along, and
it did the exact opposite. It made them more
and it
aggro.
turned them into rageful, bloodthirsty monsters.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the CRISPR, and CRISPR, especially the technology that the messing with the Legos, the building blocks of life, has all kinds of both cosmological and eschatological implications for mankind.
Yeah.
So it concerns all of you people. Somebody in the chat too. I like the Rice CRISPR treats. That's a good one. Somebody should really come up with that brand.
I think there's a very interesting segue, not just for this show, but also for just, the world current events. And that is the idea that a targeted medical treatment towards a minority group that has some sort of unforeseen trickle down catastrophe is a little eugenicsy for my taste. And on that note, eugenics were trending on Twitter. And of course, it's because of the Roe versus Wade situation. So let's talk about some politics.
Okay, I see what you did there. I was like, where are we going? Where are we going?
It's Latin for many. Tick. Now suck your blood. Now politics. Your blood.
Oh yeah, politics. Here we go. We are in the throes, the convulsions of the reactions to the Roe v. Wade decision just happening. What was it? 2 days ago, Friday, this happened, and I guess, as expected, the reaction is playing out just as if it were perfectly scripted. We'll start out here at the New York Post, just for an overview here. New York Post, Arizona abortion protest. Police released tear gas. Lawmakers held hostage in Senate building.
Oh my gosh.
Oopsies. Uh-oh. Law
is
enforcement
it another
officers
Jan 6?
There you go. Okay, a little just jumping the gun, but that's
sorry,
right. That is
reacting.
No, I mean it's exactly right. So with that in mind, let's see what kind of parallels we can feel out here. Law enforcement officers in Phoenix, Arizona, used tear gas to break up a sizable group of protesters outside the state's Senate building following the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn the landmark abortion ruling Roe v. Wade. Quote, protesters threatened to break the Arizona state entryway glass. Ooh, they're threatening the glass. Republican Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers tweeted, as members were in the middle of voting on a series of bills. The situation escalated. So we have an angry mob threatening to break glass during some legislative processes. I'd say parallel number one to Jan 6. Just much like on January 6th, the protesters were there to, protest or whatever, depending which news station you're listening to, halt or interrupt or whatever.
Destroy our democracy, Basil.
Process.
They're there to destroy the country.
The certification. Yes, they were there to commandeer the ship. The situation escalated into a, quote, hostage situation.
Whoa.
As lawmakers were instructed not to exit the building, Republican Arizona State Senator Kelly Townsend said. The Republican caucus of the state Senate later called the protest an attempted insurrection. We're just going to have an insurrection every couple of years, or I guess every year.
Every year.
Yeah, love it.
Our annual insurrection. Great.
Quote, we are currently annual insurrection. For some reason, that sounds dirty. Okay, quote, we are currently there being held hostage inside the Senate building due to members of the public trying to breach our security. Townsend tweeted Friday night, quote, we smell tear gas and the children of one of the members are in the office sobbing with fear. And this is the other parallel that I love.
I thought Townsend smelled tear gas and children. I was like, whoa.
Tear gas and tears, they have a very similar smell, apparently. No, I think this is another interesting parallel because remember the whole thing, the whole emotional roller coaster that was January 6th was, AOC talking about how traumatized she was and how,
in
even
the
though
stall,
she wasn't,
I can hear them in the hallway. Yeah.
Yeah, the emotional trauma, not just for the lawmakers, but for, the police, for the this, the that, everybody. Lots of tears on January 6th as well. It continues, quote, I expect a J24 committee to be created immediately, she added.
June 24th?
June 24th.
Wow.
Referencing the January 6th committee that is investigating the insurrection of the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th, 2021. I was surprised that New York Post specifically used the word insurrection. No quotes, no nothing. It's just their fact of the matter now. It was an insurrection. According to the lawmakers, law enforcement officers then deployed tear gas to disperse the crowds and regain control of the building. Quote, crowd was dispersed with tear gas, Rogers added, noting the protests were still continuing and the situation remained very dangerous. Another lawmaker confirmed the use of tear gas. Okay, we get it. Lots of tear gas. Lots of quotes about about tear gas. One thing, have you watched the little video that's on this page?
I did catch a little bit of it. Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it was kind of like, okay, yeah.
I mean, definitely not as exciting as the January 6th footage. I was a little bit like, oh, come on, where's the footage? You got to have footage if you're going to, ramp up the fear porn on this thing. There is a little bit of footage, but it's all from one angle, somebody kind of upstairs in the veranda,
balcony,
and they're just filming the police lining up in the lobby or whatever.
Yeah, and there you can see the people on the other side of the glass door and wall and stuff, and there's reporters and...
It would have been way cooler if somebody was smashing the glass, man.
Yeah, why is it that every quote-unquote insurrection is, it's just mostly people walking around taking pictures and video? It's all of a sudden it's, the country or the Supreme, not the Supreme Court, what is this, a Senate building or whatever getting taken over?
Yeah, it's just some sort of legislative building. Yeah, the Senate building. Yeah, I don't know. We got to wait a day or two for the previously unseen camera angles that have the people with, zip ties and.
I mean, and in some of these pictures here, it's people protesting outside the building. I don't know. Yeah. Why are the Republicans calling this an insurrection? I don't see
Gonz, you know exactly why. Don't ask that question.
But it's just like, why drop to that level? I guess,
would too.
Okay.
If you're some sort of pawn in the false dichotomy of the two-party system, you're some sort of foot soldier in the illusion of democracy, you have to call it an insurrection.
I don't know. It's just such low-hanging fruit, though. It's
exactly.
Can't be a little more
you
creative.
Think these people are geniuses? Yeah. No, they wouldn't eat if there weren't for low-hanging fruit.
That's what geniuses do. They podcast value for value.
Yeah. It's kind of a bummer. I'm still having a hard time hearing you, but we're just going to keep going.
I think you are, because I'll say something, but I don't think you hear me, so you kind of steamroll, which is fine. I'm used to getting steamrolled by you.
Yeah, I'll try to. That was happening last episode, too. That's why I had to stop so many times, because you'd say something, I just didn't hear you, and I'd have to ask again. So anyways, there you go. It's happening. It's like 2020 all over again. I expect these protests and riots and things to continue for a while. Perhaps it'll be a repeat of 2020 where it just goes all summer. Look, we need an autonomous zone. We need I don't know. We need gangs of armed citizens. We need an autonomous zone where they claim the abortion rules don't matter here, and so they'll make a nice little hippie art village where abortions will take place.
Sure. Speaking of which, okay, go ahead. Yeah, because this next article here is very interesting. I had to actually do a double take and process the headline. I'm
glad you did, because, at first glance, somebody may not really understand why this is an important headline. But those who've been listening to this show for a while, they know. But I'll try to catch everybody up if you're new. So this comes from The Atlantic. The Atlantic being sort of the controlling ownership owned by
Bezos'
Laura Powell Jobs. Something
Jobs.
Like that.
That's right. Jobs' wife.
Yeah. Steve Jobs' wife. Yeah. The Atlantic sort of posing as a news organization, although it's pretty widely accepted that it's more of just sort of a cultural commentary, social engineering,
propaganda.
Sort of meme factory more than anything else, but posing as news or journalism. But the headline here, and of course, as pretty far left as any outlet could be while maintaining some semblance of mainstreamness, which is why this headline was surprising. The pro-life movement's work is just beginning. And I saw this and I thought, oh, the pro-life. Now, first of all, because it's The Atlantic, I read pro-life, but my brain registered pro-choice.
That's exactly what happened to me. I had to double take. I was like, wait, what? The Atlantic. Why are they? Is this in support of pro-life or what?
It's got a weird feel. It's kind of ambiguous right here. And this is written by David French. I don't know much about this guy, but I'm kind of interested in seeing what else he's got going on.
Familiar name.
It is, yeah. The pro-life movement's work is just beginning. And once I figured out, yes, it says pro-life, I'm like, okay, so this is going to be about, the evil Republicans and the white violent domestic extremists. And it's going to be, I kind of just like, yeah, I know what this is. But I started reading and it goes like this. The entire legal and cultural ethos of the pro-life movement can be summed up in 2 sentences. A just society protects all life. A moral society values all life. Ooh.
Oh.
Weird. The Atlantic.
They care about life all of a
summing
sudden.
up the pro-life movement in what seems to be a positive way. Justice is thus necessary, but not sufficient for a culture of life. The pro-life movement should greet the reversal of Roe v. Wade with a spirit of gratitude. The people of this country have, for the first time in almost 50 years, an opportunity to enact laws that truly protect the lives of unborn children. But the movement should also show a profound humility and absence of malice towards their political opponents. Do you feel weird yet, Gonz?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like, okay, you won. Let's not be let's show some sportsmanship here, pro-lifers. After all, the simple truth is that if the pro-life movement wants to end abortion, it has to do much more work than merely banning abortion. They didn't ban abortion, but okay. Indeed, if it reacts with too heavy a hand in the aftermath of Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the movement can ultimately defeat its very purpose. The history of abortion in the United States is contentious and complicated, but a single fact should shape much of the debate in the months and years to come. Abortion was more common when it was mostly illegal. According to the data from the Pro-Abortion Rights Guttmacher Institute, the abortion rate was at about 16 abortions per 1,000 women when Roe v. Wade was decided in 1973. Soared to 29.3 abortions per 1,000 women by the end of the Carter administration in 1981, and then began a long, slow, steady decline to an all-time low of 13.5 abortions per 1,000 women in 2017. So those are some numbers I had never heard before.
Also, population bigger now, so while per 1,000 might be less, total is probably still more now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that makes sense.
How do I with statistics?
Yeah. Oh, they love it. This decrease doesn't mean that pro-life Americans should cease working to provide legal protections for unborn life. The Atlantic, social engineering leftist juggernaut, says that pro-life Americans should not cease working to provide legal protections for unborn life. And at this point, I'm like, okay, where's the turn? Where's the gotcha? It seems like they're setting some sort of trap, luring
They still could be,
in.
even if you don't get the hammer in this article. It could be a long play.
That's true. It could be a long play. As a matter of deep principle, we cannot leave any human being unprotected by law, and the life and health of the mother are as paramount as those of the child. But the historical records tell us that ending abortion is a different matter from banning abortion. We cannot end abortion until we learn why women seek abortions and how our nation can address concerns that lead them to make that choice. And this is kind of where it shifts into the conversation that we're all familiar with. It's a tweetable, it's a blue check mark, gotcha tweetable. Like, oh, you don't want abortions, but you want our children to be killed in school. You Republicans, you crazy psychopaths, this sort of thing. So it kind of works along those lines, but then goes into sort of an extensive and thorough breakdown of, hey, okay, let's just make life better for everybody. It's got a little bit of a socialist bent to it, which is the, if you look at the Roe v. Wade being overturned, first of all, it's being reported over and over and over, pounded into the minds of Americans through headlines and through TV personalities. They keep bringing it up. Conservatives have fought for 50 years to end. They've been doing it for 50 years. It's a master plan. It's a grand scheme, perhaps even a conspiracy of sorts that has been long in the making, really pounding it in that they've been working on this for a very long time. But if you look at it, take a second, change your perspective and say, what if the Roe v. Wade being overturned was a plan of the Democrats or of the left? Just as a thought experiment, what if the Roe v. Wade decision was architected by the left? And we've pondered this type of thing before, which is, things like this are very powerful to mobilizing and solidifying the Democratic Party, which, as of now, famously is unmobilized and sort of disjointed from top to bottom. Really, the effectiveness of the party has lost almost, any any resemblance to effectiveness, which is shown in the presidency of Biden, the approval numbers, the movement of midterm elections towards the right, these types of things. But I still believe that if we take a second, consider what if this was architected by the left to mobilize and stop the pendulum from swinging.
Well, makes sense. Oh, you cut out there. Are you still there?
Says the same thing that lots of other,
right,
lefties have said, which is, hey, if you care for fetuses, let's care for all humans.
Hey,
but
Basil,
it does it in a very... I'm sorry?
You cut out a little bit, at least for the live stream listeners. You're cutting out a little bit, so every once in a while.
Whoops.
To your point,
though, it's a connection issue?
Yeah, I think it's just Skype or whatever. But
okay.
But
I'll wrap it up and say.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just wrap it up and say that the point is, I think it's a very real possibility if we are striving to disconnect from the illusion of, that the two-party system, the wizards of bipartisanism, have been executing for many years, to the ultimate goal of just keeping the population controlled. Both their minds and their physical existence. I think that it's very possible that the deeper end of this is it's a totally left architected thing, and the pendulum swinging the other way again will become a very harsh reality or a big surprise to the sort of adherence to the right side of the political religion.
Okay, so to your point about maybe this is left created or left, the lefties came up with this plan. There's evidence over the past last year during the Gavin Newsom recall, Texas did their thing with the abortions, and then that really mobilized Democrats across the country. And then, that really got Newsom all fired up, or people in California, California here, all fired up to keep Newsom in office. But, and if you step back and kind of look at it from a social engineering perspective and knowing sort of the right-left paradigm, and you ask the question who benefits the most, having this sort of victory for the Republicans is very useful right now, because for one, you get Republicans celebrating. Hey, we did it. 50 years. We did it. We have a victory. It's been not a lot of victories in the last few years, even with Trump in office.
Yeah. Right.
In terms of like big changes in law across the country and stuff like that. So, boom, you get the Republicans all excited, and it mobilizes the Democrats. The outrage, because outrage is the ultimate currency of the left, right? Like you can't mobilize the left if you don't have outrage. So
I would say for both parties, outrage
you're right. You're for both, but I think the
secret ingredient of the two-party system. Sure.
But the outrage sort of tank was wasted. It's all depleted for the Republicans. They need to refill with some positivity. So talking about the pendulum, right? So it kind of makes sense, and I think a lot of this is going towards birth registration and legal identity across the world as we go on. Because I always think about this, and I've brought it up many times in the past. But, me personally, been reporting on the Agenda 2030 United Nations thing since 2015 is when they started talking about it as, Agenda 2030. And, going through all of their goals. They have a bunch of goals, right? One of the goals under goal 16, which is promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. UN going to dictate all that, right? Great. Good luck with that, UN. But anyway, so under that chapter, they have 16.9, by 2030, provide legal identity for all, including birth registration. So the UN wants a registry of every birth in the world by 2030.
Right.
And so this victory for the Republicans comes with, we need to make sure that every child is accounted for. I mean, even now you can see sort of I see a lot on Twitter, like the lefties go like, well, you care about life when they're embryos and then you don't care when they're born.
Right.
That whole argument. And so now you have this sort of middle ground, a solution that comes from the UN that's like, well, let's protect life with sort of a David French. I can't tell if David French here in this article is being like not sarcastic or whatever.
No, he's quite sincere through the whole thing. Okay, that was the surprising part about it.
Because I don't know, it is weird that he's sort of leaning into that victory of the right, Republican, whatever, and just like,
I'm saying,
congratulating or something, trying to take the high road, not.
Well, he's
not
trying to
be
friends. He's like trying to befriend the pro-life side and gently guide them in a direction that,
especially where the temperament of this country is, you're going to get more clicks. The Atlantic needs clicks. You're not going to get a bunch of clicks peddling the same lefty type of tropes forever, especially now.
Well, so we'll see.
We'll see.
But speaking of which, what's the Pope got to say about this, Gonz?
Oh, the Pope. Oh, you know what? There's a couple I wanted to do, but hey, you know what? The Pope.
Space Pope Reptilian.
The Pope. This is Reuters.com. Oh, you know what? I had a not paywall version of this. Shoot, I got rid of it. Hold on. Let me take a second to...
You're getting paywalled on Reuters, bro?
I exceeded my 3 free articles or whatever it is that they got going. Hold on. This is our I need a stall here.
I can give you the headline. Oh
yeah. Give me a break.
Gotta find the paywall killer. Give me a break. Come on. Hacking the mainframe.
There we go. Okay, here we go. Reuters, pro-life. What is this? What is this pop-up doing here? Okay, out of the way. Pro-life is not just opposing abortion, Vatican says after U.S. ruling.
Oh, look at that. The Atlantic and the Pope agree.
Well, yes, and the
Pope, lest you think that the Pope's pro-life position is too conservative.
Right. Well, the Reuters does I don't know, maybe it's Reuters, maybe it's the Vatican. They do a brilliant job of sort of trying to please everyone on this. Very interesting. So here we go. This is a short article. Anti-abortion activists should be concerned with other issues that can threaten life, such as easy access to guns, poverty, and rising maternity mortality rates, the Vatican's editorial director said on Saturday. In a media editorial on the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling to end the constitutional right to abortion, Andrea Tornielli said those who oppose abortion could not pick and choose pro-life issues. Quote, being for life always, for example, means being concerned if the mortality rates of women due to motherhood increase, he wrote. He cited statistics from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention showing a rise in maternity mortality rates overall, and that the rate was nearly 3 times higher for black women. Quote, being for life always means asking for help, asking how to help women welcome new life, he wrote, citing an unsourced statistic that 75% of women who have abortions live in poverty and are low-wage earners.
Okay. Yeah, you're not going to source that statistic.
I know. It's just funny how they're like, okay. He also cited statistics from the Harvard Review of Psychiatry showing that the U.S. has much lower rates of paid parental leave compared with other rich nations. Quote, being for life always also means defending it against the threat of firearms, which unfortunately have become a leading cause of death of children and adolescents in the U.S., he wrote. The Roman Catholic Church teaches that abortion is murder because life begins at the moment of conception and ends with natural death. Mm-hmm. Pope Francis has compared having an abortion to, quote, hiring a hitman to eliminate a problematic person.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. But he tried to steer the U.S. Catholic Church away from seeing abortion as a single overarching life issue in the country's so-called culture wars. The death penalty, gun control, support for families, and immigration are also life issues, he said. Look at that. Isn't that so sneaky, slimy?
I don't think so, actually.
No, you don't think so?
I mean, here's the thing. I think I was going to say danger, but that's not the right word. The effectiveness of this message coming out of the Vatican is not the sneaky, slimy disagreeableness. The reason that it works, but the reason why you do need to pay more attention to it is because it's hard to disagree with. I mean, it's logically consistent that if you are going to claim to be pro-life, you need to both, have your stance on abortion and have your stance on general death of human beings. That is logically consistent and something we should all be agreeing with. But the old switcheroo happening there is the presupposition that simply the non-existence of guns would mean less people would die.
So yeah,
and that's where the sort of very deception comes in.
That's what I'm saying. The point he's making alone makes sense. There's logical consistency to it, but it's interesting because he's sort of giving a kudos to the conservative side of the aisle that, because the Catholic Church teaches abortion's wrong and stuff. So he's like, you got to lean into that. But then also he's kind of drawing in those who disagree, like the liberal left, Democrat, whatever, that crowd. It's almost like that he's trying to bring them together, like, hey, we can all agree that life, it's all life issues. But
that's
to me, it's just
Catholic means, man.
Yeah, yes, universal. But there's something about it that makes me think like, wow, what a sly tongue to be able to pat the back of your conservative constituents and also be so inviting and understanding to the liberal side of the aisle.
Oh no, so, that's why that's why he's the Pope and we're not, Gonz.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, the other thing, this is not related to Roe, but the other interesting part of the Pope's sort of stance and clout, the muscle that he flexes around the world, is also his stance on Ukraine, when he basically came out and said, yeah, the U.S. lured Russia into war and they want it. And this is about the military industrial complex. It's about selling weapons. That's what this is about. Kind of taking an interesting sort of almost truther vibe on the topic. And their ability to go back and forth without holding fast on one side of at least the American political aisle, I think is part of the genius of what they got going on over there.
And if the world, because a lot of the world is, well, not a lot of the world. There's a large population in the world that is Catholic. They follow the Pope, they follow the Vatican, and if there's common ground there, it's a great way to create a sort of a tragic end to the final Pope, Basil. If he's the final Pope, something's going to happen to the Vatican. I don't know, an asteroid or something going to hit it, explode, and then the world can mourn, and they'll come together even more. Mm-hmm. Remember when the Pope brought pro-lifers and pro-choicers together? Anyway,
that is his whole thing, man. The Jesuits are very good at that. Yeah. Just to mention something that I learned recently. Do you know sort of the etymology of the Vatican?
I know I've looked at it before, but please enlighten us.
Well, it comes from, I believe it's
Vaticanus, yeah.
which it was a pagan goddess, an Etrusian goddess. Oh, Vatica was her name.
Vatica,
she was the Etrusian goddess of the underworld.
Good. That's
yeah.
good.
So, the Catholics have always been a very good job of, merging one side to another side. You can claim to be the Christian gods, the Judeo-Christian gods man on the ground, and yet your entire establishment is sort of based off of pagan religions and stuff that would claim not to align with the Judeo-Christian religion. So I think from its very inception, it's good at walking the line across the board.
We did skip. We did skip the story. There was a Daily Caller story about the MSNBC hostess who pressed on the California lieutenant governor, who said that they need to defy the decision, the Supreme Court decision, and the MSNBC
kind of like overturning the election results. Or something.
And the MSNBC host, to her credit, basically said, like, "Are you telling people to break the law?" Mm-hmm. So that was fun. That's another good one.
Sounds like a blast. Well, Gonz, we were talking about the Pope. It is a new day. It is Sunday, so the Pope is out being busy, and so are we, which is why we need... I don't know if everybody knows this. We should probably remind them what day it is.
Sure, yeah.
It's Sunday.
Sunday. That's right.
Bruh.
It's Sunday. For those who are listening on the No Agenda stream or some other place, maybe this is your first time listening to the show, our usual schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We are streaming all over the internet. We do video versions, and we also, of course, post a beautifully produced podcast version. You can find Canary Cry News Talk on all your podcast players, but consider going and checking us out and putting us on your list. And I would say we love the No Agenda people. We're both No Agenda Knights, Gonz. And so if people are interested in having a supplement to their No Agenda schedule throughout the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they can find us broadcasting on all the platforms live, as well as tuning into the podcast version. Today was a stressful day, Gonz. I don't know what happened, man. Well, we've had this scheduled, this particular Sunday stream scheduled for like a month or two, which I don't remember the last time we scheduled something a month or two in advance. And the day finally came, and we were so ready, and then just sort of the crumbling of all our preparations, our
which
expectations.
Is hilarious listening to Adam use some of his new Rodecaster mixer or whatever live, and his sound was all different, and you can tell he was struggling with the mic, and it just felt kind of right that we were struggling to prepare ourselves just as much as No Agenda today. So
just across the board. So, but we made it semi on time, and we're happy about that.
Yep.
I don't really have any big updates. The emus are doing good. I wasn't able to get out there and spray them with a hose. It's hot. It's hot, Gonz. It's hot.
Oh, all right. Hey.
Is it hot where you are?
Yeah, I do have this.
You little rascal. I am so hot.
You're so hot.
I'm... Gonz. I am so hot. So hot. Yes, thank you. That was Lloyd V made that, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. I
hope so.
I don't want to miscredit anybody. Thank you, Lloyd V. You just had that ready, didn't you?
Oh, how can I not have that ready? That is...
It's summertime, baby. Great. It's hot out here, I can't wait to get out there, spray those emus with a hose. They love shower time. But other than that, I'm just sweating like a dog.
Good stuff. Yeah, the whole concept of not podcasting with pants, let me tell you, you are pulling off, my friend.
Gonz, that has been a long-held secret for years. that
You've mentioned it live.
The existence of pants during podcasts it's kind of like a Schrodinger's pants thing. Is there pants? Is there not pants?
It's there when you look, but is it there when you're not looking?
They hold sort of a dual reality.
Yeah.
They are both pants and not pants, and nobody will ever know unless some sort of earthquake happens and my camera happens to fall below the waist. But do you have any updates for us?
Other than 2-year-old keeping me up all night, which is part of the reason why I felt so unprepared today, was usually I do a lot of prep on the night before, and no prep, not a lot of prep the night before, because baby needs attention.
I woke up super late because it was 1,000 degrees and it was impossible to sleep, and I was planning on getting up early, setting up for the show, being prepared and relaxed, and woke up. I'm almost embarrassed to say, but it was medically relevant. How late?
Medically relevant. That's got to be past. Well, for you, see, that's a challenging thing, because you used to wake up at noon, legit noon.
Yeah.
Like, we would have a podcast scheduled, and I'd be sitting there for a couple hours, prepping, and then I'd get the call at like 1.
So I'm saying,
just getting up, getting her. I'm like, dude, it's 1 o'clock. What are you doing?
Yeah, well,
this
I'm
was
just
years
saying,
ago now, but
you're not the only one losing sleep over this, Gonz.
I'm just saying, you're better now, so
I'm better. Yeah. That's true. I'm a grown, mature
you're
man. You're
adulting now, yes.
Who may or may not be wearing pants. All right. Well, with that, Gonz, I think it's time we thank some producers, because we are on the value for value model. Don't worry, folks, we're not going into a full break here, but we do like to thank a couple of executive producers at the top of the show, because
executive producers.
That's right. The executive producers are those who carry a heavy load. They come in, they produce the show, they realize that independent media is only possible in its true form outside of the influence of corporate money and corporate interests. And so that's why we like to give them a shout out at the top. We'll be reading notes and thanking them later on in the show as well. But for now, Gonz, are you ready? Well, it's an easy day, Gonz, because there's no executive producer.
Oh, and you cut out? That's
Friday.
fine.
The Sunday show thing is completely new, and I think everybody forgot.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, you cut out there a little bit too, so I didn't hear what you said. But no, nobody gets that. Wow, my little jingle board. It's got a mind of its own.
Yeah. So there you go. No executive producers as of now, but I will say, if you are interested in producing this show through the value for value model, if this show gives any value to your life whatsoever, you have the opportunity to take control back from the corporate lizard people, make a statement that information flow is only safe outside of the icy grasp of those with, the ability to control independent media through the dispensation or non-dispensation of advertising revenue. But over here, we love it. We've never tasted, that's the thing with advertising. It's addicting. You get used to that corporate money, man. You get used to shilling for the lizard people. And that's what puts you at risk of self-censorship or even just straight up brand non-friendliness. But now here, we're entirely independently produced, and that's the way that it should be. And there's still time. If this show brings value to your life and you want to join the revolution, go ahead and head on over to CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
That's right. All sorts of fun ways to support the show over there. So go on over if you want to become a part of the team, the family. We'd appreciate it very much, and we'll be thanking you in our first break coming up here in about 45 minutes.
Hey, let me play this one more jingle real quick, because it is Sunday. We have multiple Sunday jingles from our producers. So
Sure.
Here's another one.
It's a Sunday.
Sunday.
Bruh.
All right. Well, I think it's time for the Flippy update, Gonz.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. It's time for the Flippy update. Now, if you don't know, now you know. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use covering Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Now, Gonz, we discovered that the Adam Carolla show was encroaching on our turf.
Sure.
Adam Carolla was so impressed with our show that he decided he would dabble in stealing the intellectual property of the Flippy update. But don't worry, the lawyers are on it, and we're going to be rich, my friends.
We're going to sue Adam Carolla?
That's not happening. No, we're not going to sue. We're just going to write an angry letter.
Oh,
just a very threatening letter. Yes, it's but another example that we have seen recently of people encroaching on my brand, Gonz, is the Robot Report. We also are going to send them an angry letter, but this comes from therobotreport.com. The headline is "Meet UR20. Universal Robots' fastest, strongest cobot ever."
Ooh, ever.
Ever.
Written by Steve Crow.
Steve Crow.
Crow. He's a Crow
Sounds
man.
like an action hero.
Yeah.
This summer, Steve Crow is
UR20.
Is with the birds. Okay. Universal Robot this morning at Automatica finally unveiled what has been teasing the last couple of months. It introduced the UR20, the Danish company's fastest and strongest collaborative robot arm ever. The UR20 is expected to be available for pre-order in late Q4 2022 and will begin shipping in Q2 of 2023 for an undisclosed price. Gonz, like my daddy always said, if you gotta ask the price, you can't afford it. This one isn't for us, I think.
That's what the Yacht Club said.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
You gotta say it again, man. You can't leave me out.
Heard it. I said that's what the Yacht Club said.
Ah, there we go. I like it. The UR20, which has been redesigned from the ground up, is the first model in a new series of next-generation cobots that will complement the E-series. The UR20 features a 20-kilogram payload, 1,750-millimeter reach, repeatedly and up and blah, blah, blah. Lots of torque on this sucker. It's a whole thing. Lots of good stuff. According to the company, the UR20 is well suited for applications such as machine loading, machine tending, materials handling, palletizing, and welding. And then we got a PDF for the data sheet. Man, the Robot Report is on it. UR told the Robot Report additional new cobots will be introduced. The last time UR introduced a new robot was 2019 when it added the UR16E, and then goes through some tech specs of that. Now, Gonz, we got a new joint design here for the UR20.
I've been showing the video to live viewers who can watch it, but this reveal is very dramatic, and this arm makes me uncomfortable, to be honest.
Tell me more.
Well, let's see. Do you want me to tell you about the video?
Oh, I just want to know why you're uncomfortable. I just want to help you work through these feelings.
Sure. The Universal robots, you got like the parallel universe Basil and Gonz over there. There's like two people for Universal robots, like giving their little presentation. And then the robots.
This is what is their names? We knew their names. It's like Steve and Ron or something.
Let me get it here real quick. This is
it's Steve Crow.
Yeah,
and then the other guy.
Oh, this
They're
Crow.
The Basil
He's
and
the guy
Gonz of the Robot Report.
Anders Bileso Bjork or something. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyway,
Anders and Steve.
So this thing has, man, what is it? When you see a bug, and you see like the legs of a bug, sometimes you're like, ooh, how they kind of move and they wiggle and they got like extra joints, and it looks kind of tentacly.
Yeah, it's like a demon. Demons. Demons have like extra knees and stuff.
Right,
and that's
right.
Sort
like
of
inverse
really
knees.
Scary part about it.
Sure, yeah. So that's the kind of vibe I get. It's starting to look more like an octopus tentacle than like an arm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's really intense. And they do a lot of bragging about the new joints. They invented new joints, okay? They're playing God with the new types of joints.
And before
joints
you go on,
in,
though, real quick. In the video, you got the two guys talking. In the background, they have the robot moving boxes and stuff. And it's pretty impressive, I got to say. It's creepy, right, but impressive. The way it's able to suction these boxes and moving them around, and it looks very...
Yeah, but I mean, come on. We've seen robots move boxes before. But here's the thing. So... the history of the Flippy update here on this show has traditionally been following the deception, the progress, the technocratic dystopia that is really, and it sounds silly, and we say it a little bit fun, in a fun way, but almost word for word, the technocrats have said, yeah, we're trying to replace humans. The years-long campaign to distract us from the fact that they're trying to replace an entire human workforce with robots has included language like no, it's a cobot, it works with you, it's a cooperative robot. Right? And recently, we've seen CEOs at different companies, warehouse companies, even Tesla himself. Elon Musk himself said he wants to replace all humans in his factories with robots. They're done with the idea that we're not onto them, right? So the competition against human beings has been won. But listen to this. They go on and on about the new joint. They're so impressed with the knees on this thing. And let me tell you, I'm pretty impressed with the knees on this thing, too. But here's a quote. Now that we have the next generation joint, one can imagine we'd put it to work to deliver a better product for our customers, Smith said. In terms of higher payloads, I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility, but we're almost outside of what a person can lift. Once you build something significantly more powerful than a person, you're not solving the labor scarcity problem. Now you're competing with traditional industrial robots. So they're at a point where they're like, yeah, we're not even trying to compete with humans anymore. You're done, humans. Go into your VR pods and subscribe to your Amazon Prime nutrient slurry and just fly around in the metaverse because we don't need you anymore. And our robot is not just better than humans, but now we're competing against other industrial robots. And it's sort of when we think of the robot apocalypse and how we will be purged for the scum that we are as human beings, then who is left to fight the wars against each other? It's just the robots. It's a robot civil war, Gonz. Mm-hmm. And it gives me a little bit of hope that as long as we human beings can stay underground and live off the flesh of rats and crickets for long enough, we just got to wait for the robots to destroy themselves.
Destroy each other. Yeah, let them eat each other. The one thing the word that comes to mind watching this robot is agile. It's very agile. So the thing that's different from a lot of other demonstrations that we've seen with robot arms like this, we got Flippy the Burger flipping burgers. We got, arms making coffee and stuff like that. This one, for this demonstration, there's a conveyor belt behind these two gentlemen, and the robot arms suction cups and picks up this large box. I don't know how big. I'm sure they tell you what the weight of that box is. It's probably not super light. And then they put it on the conveyor belt, and as the box is moving across the conveyor belt, the robot arm quickly gets ahead of it to grab it later on the conveyor belt. And I don't know, it's very simple, but there's something impressive about the agility of this thing.
Gonz, they're getting to you, man. You're not supposed to be impressed.
I want one for my podcasting rig so that I can
we must go underground and wait for the robots to destroy each other. It's our only hope of survival.
Listen, I've watched Star Wars. There are good robots, and it's all about the programming.
Got him, folks. They finally got him. They've taken my friend from me, and for that I will never forgive the robots. Mm-hmm. There's your Flippy update. Let's keep moving.
Well, maybe you can have a party then. You can go to CanaryCry.Party, put it in your URL, and check it out.
Party time.
Find all the ways to watch the show, listen to the show, connect with the community, share the show, and even produce the show.
Welcome to
That's right, CanaryCry.Party. You can find all sorts of great resources there, including you can find the link, but not even just the link. You can listen to it right there on the CanaryCry.Party page. Ravel. Ravel is a podcast that I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. He's a PhD in biblical interpretation and just a swell guy. And Ravel is a podcast where, we explore scripture, society, and scandal. We have tough conversations in good faith, and I think you're really going to like it. We have a new episode, hopefully posting later today, but go check it out. His Ravel's on all your podcast players, as well as I think you can catch it on YouTube or something. But even better, you can catch it on CanaryCry.Party. Sorry, choked on myself. A real URL. Also, you can find links to Canary Cry Clips. Canary Cry Clips is a YouTube channel and an Odyssey channel. This long 4-hour podcast gets clipped out piece by piece, segment by segment, edited down into nice little shareable, careable pieces where you can review the information or just consume it in smaller bits and bites, as well as share it. Share it with your friends and family. All sorts of great things over there at Canary Cry Clips, YouTube and Odyssey. Go check it out. Don't miss out. It'll change your life. Let's see what else. Oh, and you know what? I was a little late on the text message alert going out today. We were in such a panic, Gonz. But I did get the text out, and that's because we have a text message alert system. We've had so many complaints over the years about the big tech platforms not alerting people when we go live. But if you're interested in making sure you know when to catch a show every time, you can go ahead and sign up for our text message alert system. All you got to do is text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's the word Canary to 877. I forgot what it was. 740-3226. You can also sign up right there on CanaryCry.Party. And that's it. Go do it, folks. There's good stuff there.
It has begun.
Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out.
Climate change. Climate change. Climate change. Mass extinction.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Independent.co.uk, the outlet that is owned by the son of a Russian oligarch. Look it up, folks.
Yeah. And a Saudi sultan.
Saudi, yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, there's a sultan and a KGB agent.
Right. You're not joking. It's an actual. It's not a joke.
No, it makes
real.
It's a very important detail to know when you're reading news from this outlet.
The headline here is Greta Thunberg urges society to set things right in Glastonbury climate speech.
Oh,
and
she's back.
She's back, and she's looking older. She's 19 now. She's
I was actually I entirely disagree with you. I was going to mention how she still looks like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, you're right. I guess you can.
I mean,
yeah.
she makes some interesting choices, but
not the most flattering picture or outfit. I don't know. Maybe she's really going for that, lower class relatability thing, and not getting really dressed up. But anyway, let's see what she's
just down to earth, Gonz. She just doesn't care.
Oh, okay.
I'm surprised you didn't play the Greta climate change jingle.
I thought we did. Do I have? Are there more? Greta was in the climate change jingle.
Oh, of course, she's in all of them. It's okay. Let's keep it.
Since the beginning of time.
No, we played that one.
Yeah, okay. That's all right.
Oh, maybe
what do you got? What's she doing?
Oh, we did that one too. Okay, here we go. Greta Thunberg has called on society to take on its, quote, historic responsibility to set things right with the global climate crisis during her speech at Glastonbury. Speaking from the pyramid stage...
Ooh.
The 19-year-old environment activist told the crowd she feels there is still hope for the world to choose a path which is sustainable and, quote, leads to a future for everyone. Ms. Thunberg opened her speech with a stark warning of the current climate situation, saying, "We are in the beginning of a climate and ecological emergency, but the biosphere is not just changing, it is destabilizing, it is breaking down. The delicately balanced natural patterns and cycles that are a vital part of the systems that sustain life on Earth as we know it are being disrupted, and the consequences could be catastrophic. You know what?
I wish you would say something new.
I was going to say, now that we've heard
gotta
from
get
her,
this into the writer's room.
and now that we've heard from her, yes, it brings her right back to age 12. There has not been much evolving happening, and she's still reading from a piece of paper. Come on, Greta.
She asks so much of us.
She does. Quote, and no, unfortunately, this is not the new normal. This crisis will continue to get worse until we manage to hold the constant destruction of our life-supporting systems, until we prioritize... Wait, hold on. Till we manage to hold the constant destruction of our life-supporting systems, until we prioritize people and planet over profit and greed, end quote. Okay. Yeah.
There is the change right there.
Yeah.
I think that's the shift in the message is prioritize people and planet. But, this was a discussion I had. I was talking to a what are people, Copenhagen person, someone from Copenhagen. And they were surprised
Denmark?
that I had any opinion about climate change that wasn't just the Greta copy paste opinion. And I wasn't even trying to blow anybody's mind or be contentious or anything. Yeah. I just had some extra things that I had to say about it. And the look on this person's face was as if I turned into some sort of Cronenbergian monster beetle right in front of her. And the point I was trying to make is hey, look, if you climate activist people want to actually get people's attention, you got to make it about them. You got to make it about people. The Earth has been through so many, so much, violence as far as volcanoes and scary things. And I mean, even from the secular worldview, which it's easy to make the point in the secular worldview, the billions of years old Earth, 13 billion years or whatever.
All that chaos created all this order. Yes.
Yeah. The Earth has melted and frozen over and been hit by things, and it's still here, and it just keeps bouncing back. The Earth will be fine in the long run, and it can wait us out. You got to make it about people, man. And I think that message made it to Greta, because she snuck it in there.
Here's another quote from the speech here. She said, quote, instead of looking for hope, start creating that hope yourself.
Oh.
We are approaching a precipice, and I would strongly suggest that all those who have not yet been greenwashed out of our senses stand our ground. Do not let them drag us another inch closer to the edge. Not 1 inch. Right here and right now is where we stand our ground. Yeah.
Well, I think I think there is some evolution in this message here, because sort of calling out the greenwashing, and she's done this before, so it's not entirely new, but it is kind of where this conversation is, which is they even recognize the greenwash mind control, where you can virtue signal and wear a pin and change your profile picture and get mad at Republicans, but you're kind of just a zombie stuck in this undead state that you've been, turned into by the corporate takeover of the, eco warrior message, and is very useful for the corporations to take over that message, because then they don't actually really have to do anything different.
I think it was the last time we heard from Greta, the sentiment was, they're done with her. They don't need her anymore.
Right.
And I remember pushing back on that, thinking, no, I think she can be very useful in the sort of counterculture of the corporate takeover of the whole green thing. And I think that's what we're seeing, because she is sort of, she went away for a while. She wasn't, at least out here in America. We hadn't heard from her for a while. And so it's very interesting. But one thing that's fun is, because it's Glastonbury, Miss Thunberg's speech was followed by a set by pop rock band Haim, with Noel Gallagher's High-Flying Birds taking to the pyramid stage after them. And Noel Gallagher was I think he was in Oasis. Do you remember Oasis, Basil? Champagne
Yeah, I do remember Oasis.
All that kind of stuff. And which, by the way, what Oasis? It's just an illusion, illusion of life. This was kind of an interesting connection there, but
yeah, good fit for the eco thing.
Yeah, the eco thing, and just have that illusion that there's some kind of fuel or water.
Utopia. It's the utopic illusion.
Sure. So anyway, just a little Greta update there, and Billie Eilish was there, and the whole deal. It was a whole thing.
Billie Eilish. You're such a boomer, Gonz. Who's this Bobby Eyelash that the kids like so much? Who's Bobby Eyelash?
Bobby Eyelash. Here's another interesting climate change thing here. This is from the Daily Skeptic. And just before we read the story, the headline here is Climate Scientist Says Humans Cause Less Than 0.0 degrees Celsius of global warming and warns of, quote, anarchy from, quote, delusional net zero policies.
How dare you?
How dare you? So, I found this article and I thought, we don't usually read from like blogs and, sort of not mainstream sources.
Right.
But we have highlighted in the last probably 6 months where mainstream media, talking heads, journalists, whatever, they have started their migration off of those platforms and creating their own platforms, creating either, a blog or what was one?
The infiltration. It's the mainstream infiltration of independent media, especially now that a lot of the radical sort of left journalists are getting their wrists slapped or creating the distrust in the news over the past couple of years, or at least elevating it into some sort of culture war apocalypse.
Right.
And so a lot of them are getting let go or demoted. Taylor Lorenz just got demoted, which is hilarious. And a lot of them are leaving mainstream and going into the independent media space and infiltrating while keeping the practices and the ideologies and the mission of the sort of mainstream overlords.
In one sense, it is an infiltration. In another sense, it's almost like just part of the migration process. Because, if you think about why conservatives and right wing, why they had to start moving off of these. I think about us, like we got, my YouTube channel got shut down. A bunch of people's YouTubes got shut down in the last couple of years, and we had no other choice, right, but to move. And now it's now that the pendulum is swinging the other way, the same thing has to happen to all these lefties that had jobs in the mainstream, whatever. Now they got to do the same thing. So it's kind of like they're being forced into this migration process into the internet in general. It's the if you can't beat them, find them type thing. Right,
they realize that they can't. Cable news can't compete with independent news on the internet, and so this is the only way, and I think it's how they destroy it. It is part of the war. It's not just like, "Ooh, we want to be like you," because I've heard some independent media people be like, "Oh, CNN just wants to be like us. They want to be on the internet. They want to be cool, hip, young internet people." And I'm like, no, man, that's not it. They want to destroy you, and this is how they're going to do it.
Right. So this is this, and by the way, one example of that sort of, left liberal moving on to their own thing on the internet. If you're curious, go look up Grid.
I would include a lot of conservatives on that too.
Sure. But I'm talking
it's not about the left or the right. It's about the mainstream shills, moving.
Yes, grid.news, if you want to go check out one of those examples. But this outlet here, Daily Skeptic, it was originally called Lockdown Skeptics, which was set up in April 2020. The idea for the original site was that it would serve as a hub for skeptical articles, academic papers, and interviews that had appeared elsewhere, as well as a place for experts and non-experts to air views they couldn't get published anywhere else, as the state of emergency, in quotes, dragged on for longer than most of us expected, and public enthusiasm for the lockdowns remained stubbornly high. The tone inevitably became rather stoical. I even published a series of, this is the about page here, but from the guy who founded it. I even published a series of articles under the heading, "Why Haven't Our Points Landed?" But it wasn't all doom and gloom from the start. The more serious content was broken up with lighter fare, such as a daily selection of musical blah, 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 blah. Basically, they were bringing together intellectuals, academics, whatever, pushing back against the lockdowns from pretty much a straight scientific perspective. And they got like 1.5 million page views per month. And I mean, they're 15,000 subscribers. So they're doing pretty well. But I wanted to just mention this, or bring this article, because you don't hear about this kind of stuff within the scientific community. There are really no mainstream outlets that highlight scientists that push back against the corporate agenda, the talking points of global warming or climate change or whatever, because they don't follow the narrative. But they're out there. They've always been out there. But this actually highlights it. So back to the article here. Climate scientist says humans cause less than 0.05 degrees Celsius of global warming and warns of anarchy from delusional net zero policies. With Germany scouring the world for supplies of oil and gas and firing up dormant coal power stations, one of its most distinguished atmospheric scientists, Professor Herman Hardy, has castigated politicians for reacting to increasingly shrill climate horror stories and, quote, believing they can save the world, end quote. Many of the research studies and, quote, horror scenarios are not based on a secure physical foundation, he says, quote, but rather represent computer games that reflect what was fed in, which is something we've been saying for, I mean, not just us, No Agenda's been talking about it too, that all these
models, baby.
Models are all computer models. The idea that humans can control the climate with their CO2 emissions is said to be an absolute delusion, according to Professor Hardy. In Professor Hardy's view, there exists considerable doubt about a, quote, scientifically untenable thesis of purely human-caused climate change, quote, and it is completely wrong to assume that 97% of climate scientists, or even more, would assume only anthropogenic warming, end quote. In his view, climate and energy policy can only gain popular acceptance when they are based on reliable knowledge, quote, and not on speculations or beliefs, end quote. Hardy retired a few years ago from Helmut Schmidt University in Hamburg as a professor of experimental physics after a long career in science academia. Now we can go on. We don't have to, but that's really the point. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I get it. Yeah, this is sort of a dissenting voice in the climate change thing, and I'm so happy that they exist. But he kind of seems to miss the point that, anybody who's going to be reading this outlet, or anybody who would take this outlet seriously, is already aware of what he's saying. And yet he doesn't talk much, or at least so far hasn't talked much about the fact that, he's questioning and making statements about the sort of frenetic alarmist eco-alarmism. But he doesn't really go into this is like the new world order, great reset justification for reorganizing all of human society. And not just that it's not real or whatever.
I think there is a place for this kind of reporting, though, because that sentiment is the prevailing alternative sentiment right now. A lot of people who have been questioners of, the authority and all that kind of stuff, they're on that narrative, and it is a narrative that the Great Reset is trying to take, and there's plenty of evidence for it. I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm saying it's a narrative that a lot of the alternative media and even people like us, we have sort of been carrying, not carrying the narrative in the sense of agreeing with them. I'm saying, pointing out that narrative. So, and for mainstream people, or not mainstream, maybe normies, like we like to call them here, going to the Great Reset, human society, civilization, change over control, that completely discredits anything else that is said. So I think there's a place for like outlets like this, which is mainly like a skeptical, coming at it from a more of a secular, straight science, academia type of perspective, but sort of agreeing with the overall sentiments of people like us, what we've been saying about the Great Reset and all that. So there's a place for it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're an outstanding outlet or that you should read it or anything. Sure. It's just that it's out there and part of the democratization of media. I think we need to keep track of some of that too, because it'll be interesting to see what kind of censorship takes place moving forward. If everybody's on the internet, I mean, we already know that mainstream media is heavily propagandized and commercialized, and big pharma and money and all that stuff is there. But we've also seen places like CNN try to do value for value model, like not exactly pull it off. A lot of them, yeah, you're right. But it's just interesting to watch. And then how do you censor the value for value outlets? And for example, this Daily Skeptics.
Now, when you say value for, how do you censor value for value outlets? Are you talking about like in the funding model, or censoring them in other ways, or infiltrating them?
Just in general. But I mean, you're right. There are different aspects to it, but yeah, just in general. I'm talking more generalities here than specifics in terms of that. But anyway, there you go. I think. People should be aware of places like this, and also the information.
What is the anarchy and delusional net zero policies that he's talking? What about that? What I was curious. Sure, what is he warning about the anarchy?
In Hardy's view, the move to impose climate emergency policies was led by competition between different research groups to outdo each other, predicting horror scenarios. Alarming predictions attracted media attention, quote, and our decision makers felt obliged to quickly react. Sound familiar, COVID? But noted Hardy, it is absolutely clear that without a reliable and sufficient energy supply, quote, Germany and many other countries that take such a path will end in anarchy. So he's saying the current model of, the alarmism and all that is going to lead to anarchy. And I think he's right.
Everybody's outdoing themselves. Yeah. And, he's actually sort of referring as well to the energy crisis in Germany, where they've been pressured to not partake in Russian energy, purchases or exports, imports. And they were also pressured into shutting down all of their nuclear plants in the name of, eco warriorship. And now they're just completely hosed. They're in so much trouble. So it sounds like this guy is kind of speaking in that context. There's headlines recently, you're all over Europe. These European countries are having to go back to dirty coal as their energy source because they shut down all their nuclear plants and they can't get their natural gas from Russia anymore. And it is bringing them so close. It's like a Damocles. It's the sword of Damocles hovering over their head that, at any moment, a disruption, like a large disruption in their society regarding energy could literally end in anarchy. Yeah. People revolting against the system, which is just fun. And it's nice for this guy to remind everybody.
Well, and it's probably an outcome that the puppet masters would like to have, the chaos of a society pushing back against this.
There's definitely legit theories that include that.
I'm going to wrap the article here. Hardy concludes by warning politicians that it would be an irresponsible environmental and energy policy to continue to ignore serious peer-reviewed scientific publications that show a much smaller human impact on the climate than previously thought. It is also irresponsible to shut down a reliable, adequate, and affordable energy supply to be replaced by millions of wind turbines, quote, that destroy our nature and shred trillions of birds and insects.
Is that really what he said?
It's in quotes.
Oh, no.
He was doing so well, and then at the end, he's like, killing trillions of birds. I guess insects you can count trillions, count up to trillions.
It's kind of, I guess you can, yeah.
But it's very,
kind of reminds me of the Trump, like, do wind turbines create wind? That's why it's so windy, because we have wind turbines.
But it's just funny how, they're over-exaggerating, and then he has this thing here. I mean, I guess it could be, I don't know.
Who knows?
Insects,
that number is not impossible.
It's not impossible. It's just funny. It just sounds very sensational after saying how, the media is so irresponsible with their sensationalism.
Yeah.
He got his own version of sensationalism.
He's got his own alarmism he's adding in there.
Right.
These poor insects and birds.
Trillions of birds and insects. So there you go. That's all I got here for the climate action. Be scared. We're all going to die.
Yeah. Let's talk about some money.
Money. Oh, you're right. That's what we're doing.
The four horsemen of the technopolis.
Anytime you see the four horsemen, it's something special.
This is a triple. It's a triple.
Yeah, triple doozy. Mm-hmm. This is coming from investing.com.
Oh, yeah.
So, little on the nose there, investing.com. Jim Cramer's 5 takeaways from his meeting about the metaverse with Meta Platforms' Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, what does the metaverse have to do with the future of our, money? What?
Dystopia,
Yeah. The newly formed metaverse, according to the Meta Platforms Inc., CEO Mark Zuckerberg, could be home to billions of users. Whoa. What happened? Zuckerberg met with CNBC's Jim Cramer to discuss this. Quote, by the end of the decade, we hope to basically get to around 1 billion people in the metaverse doing hundreds of dollars of commerce each, said Zuckerberg.
Only
quote,
hundreds, huh?
Buying digital goods, digital content, different things to express themselves. I feel there's going to be a massive economy around this. He's talking about like Fortnite skins.
Right.
Hundreds of dollars a month people are going to be paying for our cheetah pants for your avatar.
Which, by the way, I know people mock NFT a lot. NFT is going to be as ubiquitous as HTTPS : something like that.
No, you knew it was coming, folks. Mm-hmm. We weren't going to get through this without an NFT reference.
I'm just saying that's what he's talking about.
Sure. The company, which was previously known as Facebook, is more directed by Zuckerberg toward what he sees as the next generation of content, a virtual marketplace where users can exchange digital items for talkative avatars. It is worth mentioning, it's just so... my body is having a visceral reaction to reading. Even just reading, I'm not even watching the clip. We should have brought the clip. I'm sure it was his little lizard tongue sticks out in between sentences. It is worth mentioning that after 2 straight quarters, the company's growth is revealed as stalling, and investors drove the price of Meta stock down by about 50% in the first half of this year. Quote, our playbook over time has been to build services, try to serve as many people as possible, get our services to 3 billion people, then scale the monetization after that.
Let's get to 3 billion people and then we'll scale monetization. Let's just monetize half of the human population. Great thinking, Zuck.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's this wonderful bait and switch. It's how he's been doing it ever since the beginning, which is here's a wonderful free service and now pay me with your mostly with advertising. Pay me with your mind and your attention.
That's what the
We've
CIA
done that
taught
with
him.
Facebook. What's that?
I said it's what the CIA taught him. When they chose him to be the guy.
Exactly. He indicated Reality Labs, Meta's metaverse department, is now losing money. Oh, and the company is aware of this. After losing $10 billion the previous year, that is quite the loss there, Marky.
You sure you're going to get all those billions of people in there?
Oh, he's fine. He's fine. After losing $10 billion the previous year, it lost slightly under $3 billion in the first quarter before starting to monetize. Zuckerberg wants to attract people to the site, so a loss in the first few years is expected. Perfecting the metaverse, Zuckerberg added, will be a major subject for Meta during the next 10 years, since experiences in the metaverse can be more immersive than text, photographs, or videos, which are prevalent on Meta's Facebook and Instagram. Following the interview, Cramer met with CNBC's Squawk on the Street team to discuss 5 reasons why he thinks Meta stock is a buy.
Jim Cramer wants you to buy Meta stock. I don't know what's more shilly than Cramer coming out.
Cramer is a total 100% shill. That's his whole thing. His business model is to shill for big companies. What was that?
There was a famous clip of him saying, don't sell, like the day before the 2008 economic crash.
Yeah, no, he's a total operator for sure. So here's the takeaways, Gonz.
Yeah, let's do it.
1, quote, you're talking about 1 billion people. You're talking about hundreds of dollars per person. You're talking about market share take by Zuckerberg. And you're talking about incredibly cool place to go. That is it. That is the takeaway.
That's the first takeaway. Okay.
And it's funny because the takeaway, this is not a takeaway, Cramer, please. This is a leave alone. Leave on the ground and walk away. This is a walk away, not a takeaway.
It gets better, by the way.
Yeah, I know. 2, here's the next one. It's better than Zoom Video Communications, Inc. When you're in a meeting, you can whisper to a person. The enterprise is much better.
I didn't know Jim Cramer was into... There's a thing, it's called ASMR. Jim Cramer. Somebody needs to send him
you get your
like a free
it's business ASMR. ASMR for business. There's a podcast for you.
Jim Cramer
ASMR is like this sleeping giant of an industry. People don't like talking about it, but if ASMR podcasts and videos, they are some of the most popular pieces of content on the internet.
Exits. This is never going to work from us, but somebody will do it. It'll just be, you know how they have like the Hot Wings show, the show on YouTube where they get all these celebrities and they make them eat hot wings.
Yeah.
You do the same thing.
You're like the third person to tell me about this in the past 24 hours.
Okay. All right. Maybe it's just because you need to do this. You do the same thing, except it's like 10 minutes of ASMR with celebrities, and you have the whole conversation.
And see who can take it. It's a competition who could survive different levels of ASMR.
Or you just have different levels. And
I think ASMR for business, it's a business podcast, but it's all in whispers. And Cramer should do it. That would be a real change for his brand.
Cramer should be the guy because it's so off-brand, and he will make whisper yelling a thing,
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
all
continue.
Right, that's just what we need. Lizard people ASMR. Okay, let's keep going. 3, people should be buying the stock because Zuckerberg said Reels, Meta's competitor to TikTok, is doing much better than expected, and they're making money off the Oculus headset. This is so stupid. This whole thing is so stupid. Here's the 4th takeaway. The 4th big takeaway. It's simply, I am telling you, this thing is radical. How does this man still have a job? This is ridiculous. 5, we just got to get through this. 5, 4, it's radical. 5, quote, they're giving the creators and developers free reign until 2024 to write and develop the metaverse. They will take no cut, and that will make it so their mode is very high. They won't be spending as much as we thought, blah, blah, blah. It won't be in the tens of billions because they're so far ahead of everyone.
They're so far ahead of losing money that, they can't spend more money.
No, Cramer just needs to stop doing what he's doing and start ASMR for business.
How much is Cramer worth? Jim Cramer net worth. I'm curious because a man, he's a millionaire for sure, right? All it takes is, I'm telling you, this thing is radical. And you get to be on TV. And
I didn't know anybody listened to this guy, honestly.
Oh, I think financial
I don't know if anybody does, because he's a big brand and he has support from mainstream lizard people. I don't think that means much. I mean, the content here, there is no content here. He made a listicle.
You want to know his
He
net
made
worth?
a listicle saying absolutely nothing.
His net worth is $150 million.
Yeah, well,
my gosh.
He should produce the show then.
To produce our show. Tell us we're radical.
On that note, we're radical, and we are radically going to take a break and thank some producers.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
That's right, folks. We're taking a quick break because we got to thank some producers. That's no Jim Cramer here. Man, we should. Do you think Jim Cramer's on Cameo? You should check Cameo.
I'll check. Yeah,
because that might be a way for us to monetize Jim Cramer. We get Jim Cramer to do cameos for our break segment.
I'm sorry.
And suddenly we get Jim Cramer whispering about how radical we are.
I think it's hilarious how you and I, our marketing strategy, anything outside of just word of mouth and a few other things, street team posters and stuff, it's always Cameo.
Cameo. I'm telling you,
creative.
We got to find a way to harness the power of Cameo. Go check right now if Jim Cramer is on Cameo. And Jim Cramer, if you're listening, you send us an email. But we're on the value for value model, folks, and most of you already know this, but in case you don't, let me let you know something. The advertising industry, a sort of shadowy octopus that floats around the earth in space, engulfing the souls of humans.
Whoa.
With its slithery little tentacles wiggling into, this is poetry, Gonzo. I'm giving some people something new. With its little slimy, shadowy tentacles slithering into your ears, subtly manipulating your psychology, doing the bidding of the corporate lizard people, convincing you to spend money that you don't have on things that you don't need, and all in the sort of manipulative language of supporting creators or monetizing your passion. All that bull hockey. We get it in our email box literally every week, sometimes every day, about how, we see you have lots of listeners of your podcast. Would you like to make money from them? Simply sign up to our service, and we'll help you brainwash your listeners into doing whatever we want them to do, and you'll make money. It's a horrible system. It's more morally and ethically dubious, the fact that anybody trying to make independent media outside of the influence of the corporate monstrosities that seek only to subtly psychologically manipulate you for their own personal gain, and they recruit independent media makers into their evil schemes. But not here, folks. That's because we're on the value for value model, which is very simple. It gives power back to the people to decide the value of their independent media and their information flow. Because without corporate money, the corporate interests will have a hard time brainwashing the public. So here, where the people have the power to decide what their media is worth, it's very simple. You raise up a rebel fist in the air and you say, I will become a producer of the show. And you do that by heading on over to CanaryCry.com/support.
CanaryCry.com/support.
That's right. And over there, you can find all sorts of ways to support the show. If you're a cryptocurrency person, you can find all our public wallets there. You can sign up for a monthly producership if you recognize that you will continue to get value out of the show. And we are so grateful to our monthly producers because certainly there are times when producership is low, I guess, to put it sort of frankly and not in some sort of strange octopus metaphor. There are times when producership is lower than than would be preferred. But those monthly producerships, they really come through and save our butts in the hard times. But if commitment is not your if commitment is not your thing, you can make a one-time producership in any amount. And you really are a producer, because this is the real world. We're a real media property. And if you pay to have a piece of media produced, you are a producer of that media. It's not a gimmick. It's not a cute nickname. It's not a whatever. It's just the way that it is. The facts of life, folks, here on Canary Cry News Talk. And that's why we like to thank our producers here on the show. And we're going to start out with some executive producers, Gonz.
Come on, play.
Executive producers.
That's right. And our executive producers are those who come in with their generosity and their value to make sure the heavy load is carried for those of us who are, more at the whims of the sort of intentional destruction of the global economy. But we like to thank them here. Gonz, are you ready?
No, I'm still scrolling through Cameo.
Is Jim Cramer on Cameo?
Jim Cramer's not on Cameo, but then, you know what happens on Cameo. You start feeling old because you don't know half of these people. More than half, like 3/4 of the people. I'm like, who are these folks?
I mean, we might as well just get like a popular TikToker or something. Might be
that's what I'm saying.
More effective.
Yeah.
So there's you know what they should do? They should get an algo on Cameo. It's like, oh, sorry, we don't have Jim Cramer, but can we suggest, I don't know. I don't even know what a suggestion based on
another
Jim
news
Cramer.
Anchor of some kind.
Brian It's not even
Stelter.
A news anchor. Isn't even like the...
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to connect.
Kenny G.
Kenny G?
We could get Kenny G. For $350.
$350 for him to say a couple things. Well, I guess we can.
No, you just play us a little song. You can make us a jingle. Mm-hmm. All right, we're getting distracted.
Yeah,
we're here
this is your fault.
Executive
this
producers.
Is your fault. Yes.
Let's start out by thanking executive producer Dame Debbie, guardian of the galactic Zephyrland.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank
you very much, Dame Debbie, one of our dames of the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. Dame Debbie comes in with $177.77 plus fees.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
Where'd you find this?
Thank you so much,
That's
Dame
amazing.
Debbie.
She came in between the intro and now, I'm guessing.
Bro, I am telling you, I'm jazzed right now because we literally started this show, and it's understandable because it's a weird day for us. People aren't expecting it. But we started this show with a total, and this includes the under 777 amount and all producers. We started the show with a total of 4 producers, which was terrifying. But these executive producers especially have changed the destiny of this episode. So thank you. Dame Debbie, guardian of the galactic Zephyrland, has a note here. Thanks for all you do. This donation is my penance for being tempted to invest in Miso Robotics. Oops. Sorry, so sorry. Gonz, have you been getting the Miso Robotics investment ads?
Yes. I've been getting it for a while though. So
I know, but they're in their last thing. It may have be ended by now, but they were just hammering.
They really were hammering the last, because they were in some kind of seed round,
the Series E right now.
I was about to say F, but yeah, E.
No, they're in Series E, legitly.
Yeah.
And it's for those who are on the No Agenda stream, be careful, because if you start listening to this show a little too much, the algos will see that you are in love with Flippy the robot.
You like robot arms, huh? You want to invest?
And Miso Robotics, I'm pretty sure it's just an explicit heuristic for when they pay Facebook for ads. They're just like, yes, I will get men aged 45 to 65 and anyone who listens to Canary Cry News Talk. So it sounds like, I can't tell. It kind of sounds like Dame Debbie invested in Miso Robotics.
Hey, here's what I said earlier to you, Basil, is that you can't, if you want to be the number one robot critic in the world, you cannot be too heavily invested in one company or another, especially if you're going to be critical of that company. And Miso Robotics.
No, they got to invest in me, baby.
But there is nothing stopping our listeners and our producers from wanting to do some of that because, hey, you
we
know,
don't
ultimately
give financial advice, but
it's not financial advice. But ultimately, if Dame Debbie, Guardian of Galactic Zephyrland, does well with this investment, then it comes back as a producership later down the line anyway. So it's sort of a symbiotic relationship, kind of like how Elon talks about.
I hope it works out. I hope this makes you a bajillionaire, Dame Debbie, and don't forget your best buddy Basil when it does. Thank you, executive producer Dame Debbie, Guardian of the Galactic Zephyrland.
Yes, thank you very much.
Next up, we have executive producer Maureen M.
Maureen M. Wow.
Yes, thank you very much. And Maureen M., it was kind of hard to deduce because of the fees and things exactly the amount that was intended here. I believe that it was a $111.11.
I don't have a thing for that, but wait, should we give her the 1111 because it's close?
Sure.
11.
There it is. And
thank you, Maureen M. Yeah, it could have been 1111. It could have been.
Sorry.
That's okay. Could have been 112.47. Could have been 117.04. I don't know. Could have been either of those things. But I think it's the 111. Thank you very much, executive producer Maureen M. coming in and really changing the game. Maureen M. was the first exec that came in today. So thank you. And we have one more executive producer, and that is executive producer Gabby L.
Gabby. There she is.
Gabby. Gabby L came in with the $111.11 as well.
Where'd you find this?
That's right. Thank you so much, Gabby L. And by the way, Gabby L sent some care packages a while back for our 10-year anniversary. And Gabby L, thank you so much. It was such a wonderful package filled with such interesting, sometimes strange, and other times very useful little goodies. Thank you very much, Gabby.
Do we have any more executive producers?
I believe that concludes our list of executive producers.
Gavin Newsom has a message to the 3 executive producers of today's show.
Women rule!
All ladies.
Oh, yeah. Ladies' night. It was ladies' night.
We are the most equitable podcast. We don't discriminate here. No male privilege here.
Yeah, we're right now we are entirely executive produced by female producers, and we should put that in the trades. You know,
we should,
you got Hollywood trying to get diversity in their executive, suites for movies and studios and things like that.
When we fill out our
Canary Cry News Talk episode 501. Completely executive produced by women. Thank you, ladies.
It's a perfect note to put in our ESG application to remain a podcast in the new world order here. You know, it's a good way to say like, hey, we're produced by episode 501. Great example. Purely female executive producership board. We're
ESG
we're really
qualified.
Equitable. Yeah, we're qualified. Daddy
Klaus.
Klaus, just let us in.
Let us in.
We won't touch
there you
the
go.
food.
Thank you, ladies, for the executive producership.
Yes,
you changed everything today.
Wow, very blessed.
Give me a second to pitch the supply drop.
Yes, you can. Hold on. You cut out for a second there, but oh boy, my computer is starting to slow down. Here we go.
There we go. Head on over to CanaryCry.Supply.com. CanaryCry.Supply.com. If you support the show for $33.33 a month, you will be helping us survive the tough times. That is just $2.77 per episode, folks. It's a great deal. Not only will you gain the honor and the wisdom and the good looks that becoming a supply dropper affords you, but you will also gain 4 shipments of completely free gifts. That's right, gifts. It's swag, man. CCNT. We're busy manufacturing the coolest stuff that a podcast possibly can. Coming out in this next supply drop, we've got the Canary Cry News Talk Challenge coin. We've got the Tweet Hungry Boys kitchen apron. We've got all sorts of other goodies in there. And we are diligently working to get that one out on time. But if you guys are interested in supporting the show, and receiving all this cool stuff. Producer produced, artist designed, and American made Canary Cry News Talk swag. Go to CanaryCry.Supply.Drop.com, and we're all waiting for the supply drop.
Waiting for the supply drop.
Okay, we got some more people to thank, Gonz. You ready?
Do it. Yep.
Starting with producer Anika A.
Anilka A.
Yeah.
Is it Anilka? Is that spelled correctly in the notes here?
I kind of was getting a European vibe from the name. Uh-huh. And I know a European named Anika, but it could have been Anilka. That sounds right. Thank you very much.
Eilka.
Yeah, okay. We don't need to dox the spelling of this person's name. Okay. How many Anilkas could there be?
I don't know. Sounds somewhat common in the Euro.
Mm-hmm. You would know, wouldn't you?
I would.
Thank you, Anilka, for your support.
Yes,
now, this gives us a good opportunity to mention Anilka came in a nice round number. And for us here, we always lean in the direction of anonymity and non-disclosure. If you would prefer us not to disclose the amount of your producership, just make it a nice round number, nothing funky. And we know that that's what you're saying to us. But if you don't mind us reading the number, you make it something weird. Put in something, 1111 or 33 cents or whatever. Could be whatever you want. And that way we know to brag about it and be confused about it on the producer break. But thank you very much, Anilka A. I'm tempted to give Anilka A mooching, but I don't know that for sure. And she didn't ask for it. So,
all right. Well, okay.
That's how we roll.
Okay.
Thank you, Anilka.
Thank you, Anilka.
Next up, we've got producer Morv. And producer Morv is on a 106 episode streak.
Oh, yeah!
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you very much, Morv. Morv comes in with 1111.
1111. Yeah.
That's right.
Good stuff.
And I did not see a note from Morv, but thank you very much, Morv.
And for if you are a new listener, that is 107 episodes in a row producing the show. That's not like some
in a row.
106. Yeah. Yeah, these streaks. No, we
count streaks here. Yeah, people deserve it. And by the way, as we did on the last Sunday special, we will not hold it against anybody if they missed their streak on Sunday. Right. We forgot to announce it on Friday, so it's a whole thing. But if you did come in, your streak continues. We've got producer Jonathan F. coming in.
Jonathan
for a pocket full of sevens.
Hi, thank you very much, Jonathan F.
Indeed. Thank you.
No note.
And that's it. That concludes the list of producers. I know. It's a very short list.
That's what
really
I'm
saying.
In, huh?
If it wasn't for the executive producers, this would be a terrifying day. But we do have a couple more producers who came in under the amount of 777, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. If you come in over that amount. But we got some people underneath, and we're going to thank them now. Starting with, of course, the streak, Sir Casey the Shield Knight on a 172 episode streak.
Yes, they call him the street. Fast thing on 2 feet.
That's right. He's the streakiest streaker in all of Streakland. Thank you very much, Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Next up, we've got producer Darren S. on an 11-episode streak. Thank you. Then we got the Streak Sisters come in. We got Gail M. on a 137-episode streak.
Oh, yes, they call him the street.
Call her.
Fast thing on 2 feet.
And of course, we've got Veronica D., the other Streak sister, on a 137-episode streak.
Yes, they call him the street. Fast thing on 2 feet.
Women rule.
And you know what? Oh, let's see. I just read. So yeah, we got something here. We got a new Patreon supporter.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Okay, we got a Patreon producer here, and this is producer John M.
John M. Thank you.
Thank you, John M. for coming in. He came in at the $22.17 Patreon amount over on the Canary Cry Radio Patreon. Yeah. We also have, oh, look at this. People just coming in during the segment. Okay, we'll give it to you, folks. Thank you. We've got producer Joseph A.
Joseph A.
Yeah.
All right.
And very exciting. Producer Joseph A came in for the supply drop. $33.33 a month.
Okay.
There we go. We got a new supply dropper.
There you go. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And don't get too excited yet, Gonz, because we also... Nope. Okay. Yep. I think that's it. I think we did it. I think we made it. Thank you to everybody who produced today's show. Feels good to know that the value being created here on Canary Cry News Talk inspires a response from those who recognize that the fact that we have no corporate money involved, which means no corporate interest, is a treasure to be treasured, and we couldn't do it without our producers. Thank you all for your patronage.
Play. Oh, no. There it is.
My money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
And real quick, Gonz, I would. We need to call the producers.
Here we go.
Producers, assemble!
That's right, folks. Canary Cry News Talk is not just a podcast, it's also a family, and we have not just producers, but we have producers, who are people around the world. You could be one of them, who answer the call when somebody in the family needs some prayer here. I'm just catching it in the chat here. This is from Blonde Savant. Says, my 89-year-old father, Lloyd, was hospitalized this afternoon with C19.
No.
Please pray for him. So... producers around the world, we're putting Lloyd on the list for healing and safety and financially, that this is will not be too much of a game changer, and of course a quick recovery. Thank you very much, Blonde Savant. We'll be praying for your father Lloyd there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
now we do let's do speak pipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
That's right, folks. You can head on over to CanaryCry.Newstalk.com, and there you will see a green tab on the bottom or the right-hand side. Click on that tab, and you can leave us a voice message. You're giving us permission to read that message or play that message on the air.
Beep. Is that you?
And yeah, are you hearing this? What's going on?
I thought I heard a beep, but I couldn't tell if it was.
Yeah. My metaverse just glitched. And it sounded like a piece of hardware disconnected and reconnected to my Windows. Nice. So I might be getting hacked and might be getting sucked into the metaverse forever, in which I will live some sort of cybernetic hell existence. But I'll try to still do the podcast.
Great.
But anyways, you can leave us a message, and you're giving us permission to play it on the show, but it's not guaranteed. Who is leaving us messages today, Gonz?
I have a note or an audio recording message from Paulie the Gambino.
Hey, Paulie here. Basil Gonz. Complimenting on 500 episodes. Bada boom, bada bing. Huh? I was going to say something on the 500 show, but I know today's 501. But I was a little busy taking care of some family business, some issues there. You know what I'm talking about? Nah, I know you don't, so don't worry about it, all right? Complimenting.
All right. There you go.
Paulie the Gambino, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to hear from you, my friend. And as usual, we will not look you up. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, we know you're all on the up and up, and
we know your deal. We know your deal. Thank you, Paulie.
Thank you.
Who's
Paulie.
next?
That's it. That's all I had.
World? Really? I thought there was another one.
I didn't see it unless it came in right now.
Well,
let me double check.
I would say maybe if you wouldn't mind taking a look for just a moment, mostly because I need to stall because I have completely lost control of my universe here. For those who are new to the show, we do the show in a video format, and I do it inside of a virtual reality headset. There are many reasons for this. Number one, it helps maintain my anonymity so the face recognition robots don't get me. Because I'm a paranoid crazy person who lives off the grid with a couple of emus. But also, we've been following the virtual reality shift in society since it really got rolling about 5 or 6 years ago. And it was obvious from the beginning that one of the useful reasons to make virtual reality ubiquitous and get as many people involved as possible is because you then have the ability to keep people working even if they're bedridden or they're elderly or they're whatever. You just slap them in a VR headset. Now they can control a robot in a factory or something. That's it's a very useful tool for a sort of technocratic dystopia. And I thought, you know what? If that's what they're going to do, I'm going to start working in the metaverse. And let me tell you, I do not recommend it, folks. Lots of health problems stemming from it, mostly revolving around my eyeballs, feeling like they're going to explode. But as a result, because of the glitchiness of pretty much all virtual reality systems, makes just another layer of technical difficulties while recording a podcast. But that does make us the best podcast in the metaverse. I will get, worth it. I'm
best
doing
podcast,
it for you, Gonz, and your children.
Best podcast in the metaverse.com. Find out who it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no more messages. I think we can wake up here and continue the show.
Let's do it. We're going to wake up from this break, folks. And just know, YouTubers, you got to find another place to watch the show because what follows is too hot for YouTube.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
YouTube.
See you later. Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure?
Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, you can find all those links at CanaryCry.Party as well. Too hot for YouTube.
YouTube. Now you see me. Now you don't.
Okay, let's do some COVID.
Okay, I'm turning off the